Welcome back. Welcome back. This is the People's Voice. I am Trey Evans, and I am the People's Voice. Thank you again for checking out the podcast this week. As always, it is greatly appreciated. As always, we thank everyone who has taken some time to listen to the podcast today. We do understand that you could be utilizing your time to do something else, so we are appreciative that you're spending that time with us. As always, if this information is valuable and you find it to be enlightening or worth sharing, we ask that you subscribe to the podcast and turn on notifications. That way you will be notified when each episode is released. And we do put out a new episode each and every Friday, which is heard on all podcast platforms. And then we put a video out on YouTube every Wednesday as well for those who would like to watch the podcast. But in any event, we say welcome and welcome to the People's Voice podcast. So today, I want to get into the topic of environmental racism. Environmental racism. And this is a topic that I've talked about before previously on this podcast. I can't remember when, but I've done a lot of episodes at this point, but I definitely talked about this before. Once I find it, when I post this video, of course, I'll post a link to that video as well. And then for those who would like to listen to it, I believe the title is Environmental Racism. I can't remember the rest of the title, but in any event, I bring that up because today I want to talk about environmental racism. And this came up because there was recently a statement put out by the Department of Justice here in the United States. But of course, through the directives of the president, current president, President Donald Trump. And the statement was put out to address an agreement that was made between the previous administration, the Biden administration, and a county in Alabama called Lowndes County, Alabama. And this statement or this agreement was put into place because many of the residents in Lowndes County, Alabama, did not and still do not have adequate sewage systems for their homes. And so this agreement was an agreement that was put into place to get the necessary funding put in place, and then, of course, to help the residents of Lowndes County get adequate water treatment and sewage treatment systems. Well, as a result of this statement, this, in my opinion, is another form of environmental racism, and I'll kind of detail how that is. Now, in the previous case, when I talked about environmental racism, I believe I was talking about what was going on in Louisiana, because down in Louisiana and in many cities and towns throughout the United States, especially in rural areas, many companies were practicing in a form of toxic dumping, and that dumping was taking place in many areas that were populated by brown and black people. And in that case, that environmental racism, environmental injustice was leading to, and has led to, and continues to lead to many health complications for the residents of those areas. Similar today, the similar thing is going on today in Lowndes County. And so I'm going to talk about that, talk about what's going on, what that statement is that was made by the Department of Justice, and then talk about what can be done about that. So I guess to start, I'll go to the statement that was posted on the Department of Justice site on April 11th. And I'll just pull it up for those of you who are watching YouTube. It is entitled Department of Justice Terminates Environmental Justice Settlement Agreement, Advancing President Trump's Mandate to End Illegal DEI and Environmental Justice Policies. And I won't read the whole statement, but it says, today the Department of Justice announced that I'm laughing because there's a typo. Come on, man. Damn. There's a typo in the statement. It says, today the Department of Justice announced that's crazy. Today, the Department of Justice announced that its Civil Rights Division will immediately close an environmental justice matter. Effective immediately, the division will terminate the Environmental Justice Settlement Agreement that stemmed from the investigation launched by the previous administration targeting Lowndes County, Alabama. This directive follows President Donald J. Trump's Executive Order 14151, ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and prefacing. And it goes on to say, which forbids federal agencies from pursuing programs or initiatives related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, including those related to environmental justice. It goes on to say the DOJ will no longer push environmental justice viewed through a distorting DEI lens. I read that to you.
All I'm doing is presenting the facts.
Because my next comments and statements will show you just how ridiculous of a statement that is, especially the portion where it says wasteful. Oh, wait, let me just read that one more time. Wasteful spending. Did it say that? I read through it so fast. I'm looking for it. I've got to repeat it again. Ending radical and wasteful government DEI programs and prefacing. Now, this is not a DEI program. Okay, there is no DEI program. This program was put into place as a matter of life and death, right? Because the people of Lowndes County, Alabama, which is primarily populated by Black people, African Americans, are living in subhuman conditions, if you will. Many of them, not all of them, but a majority of them, because they have inadequate sewage systems. And this has been addressed. This problem in Lowndes County has been talked about and has been addressed for decades. When I say addressed, I mean has been talked about, but no action has been put into place until that agreement that was put into place by the previous administration. But this is a serious issue. Matter of fact, I want to play this piece from 60 Minutes. 60 Minutes did a piece on this 4 years ago in 2021, where they interviewed a resident of Lowndes County talking about the sewage issue and the lack of infrastructure that's in place and what they have to do to get sewage removed from their house. So I want to play that, and then I'll continue on and go on from there. But this is from 60 Minutes that was done about 4 years ago, talking about this very issue. So take a listen to this.
Is it the runoff from your house?
Yes, sir.
And it just empties right into this little drainage area in your backyard?
Yes, sir.
This is straight piping. And when one flushes the toilet and it goes through a pipe instead of going into a sewage treatment plant or an on-site septic system for the sewage to be treated, it just ends up on top of the ground.
I have seen things like this in Haiti and parts of Southeast Asia. I've never seen anything like this in the United States.
That's why we call it America's dirty secret.
Now, the question I raise, is this America?
And And that's the question that we all need to raise. Is this America, as you heard the reporter say there, subhuman, excuse me, not subhuman. He's only seen these type of conditions in underdeveloped nations. This is currently going on in the United States today and has been going on for decades and has been going on in Lowndes County for decades and decades and decades. So what was described there, just for those who may not have heard, the process that many of these homeowners are using to get rid of waste is called straight piping. And straight piping is basically a pipe that is connected to the sewage, to the toilets in the house, and also any other sewage draining systems. This could be showers, things of that nature, the sink. And the sewage is pumped out, not even pumped, excuse me, the sewage just flows out of the house through a pipe into the backyards of these individual homeowners. And these individual homeowners are living on these lands. And oftentimes these pipes are not running, to, somebody might think, well, if it's running 300, 3,000 or 300 feet away from the house, what's the problem? No, oftentimes these pipes are going into areas that are not that far away from the home, and the sewage is sitting there, which, I can't even imagine what the first of all, the odor that is being emitted from this. But in addition, there is tons and tons of health issues that are occurring as a result of this. That agreement that was put into place by the previous administration was put into place to address this, because Lowndes County is one of the poorest counties in the United States. And the individuals there don't have the funding, don't have the funds or the money, right, to put in place sewage systems in their homes that would allow for the sewage to be properly treated. In addition, the state said that they don't have the funding to put proper sewage in place or connect, sewage lines from the city, the nearest city, or for the state to have sewage pumped properly out into water treatment facilities ran by the state or by the city. So this agreement was put in place not as a DEI program, right? It was literally to help the individuals that live in this poverty-stricken county have proper sewage treatment facilities for their homes. As I said, this is an ongoing problem. And not only was that agreement put into place to deal with that, but this county at one time used to arrest or fine the residents in this county who did not have proper sewage treatment solutions in place. Literally, they used to find, the Department of Health used to fine individuals, and there were cases where people went to jail because they were using this straight piping method, and the county and the state told them that they needed to have better sewage solutions in place. But of course, they don't have the money to do that. That's why this agreement was so important. In addition, this is not just occurring in Lowndes County. This is also occurring in other areas as well. Catherine Coleman Flowers, who is, if you know about this story, she has been all over this for decades. She's actually from Alabama. I believe her mother lived in Lowndes County at one point, and she has taken literally all the way to the White House. She met with President Biden during his administration, and this is kind of how this initiative got through. But she also talked about in an interview that she did a few years back, she talked about this is not only occurring in Lowndes County, this is also occurring in many rural areas throughout the country. So let me play this, and then I'll close out and kind of talk about what can be done to address this issue on a national level. But this is Catherine Flowers talking about some of the problems that are currently going on in other areas of the country dealing with the same issue.
In my own community, I live in Montgomery, Alabama, and recently found out that there are lots of people in Montgomery, Alabama that are not on wastewater treatment. These are people that are using on-site septics in the city of Montgomery, which is unfounded. And the narrative coming from the Water and Sewer Board is that we don't build sewers. So, but apparently they did build sewers when they put them in the white communities. But now that the Black communities are asking for equity, they still want to put them on septic systems. And these are communities where Black folk could only buy land at that time that was not considered suitable, and it certainly is not suitable for septic.
All I'm doing is presenting the facts.
And as she said, that's in Montgomery, Alabama. And Montgomery, Alabama is no small city for those who live in that area. And she also talked about, I didn't play it, but she also talked about it occurring in North Carolina and several other southern states throughout the country. So this is a major issue and a major problem, a major issue that needs to be addressed. This is something that we cannot let this just go by as, oh, well, it's, not my problem, not in my backyard. No, this is a major issue and it needs to be addressed because, as I said before, it's a matter of life and death. Literally, people are dying because of the health conditions that are being created because of how this sewage is being disposed of. Life expectancy in that county is, I think, 70 years compared to life expectancy in the United States for most of 78 years. There's issues with hepatitis A, hookworms. They're also having, high cases of asthma and things of that nature. So this is a major issue that needs to be addressed. How can we go about addressing that? Well, there's three ways that I think we should go about this. First and foremost, you can go right to whitehouse.gov. You hit contact, and there is a form on their website where you can put your name and you can fill out what you want to address, which is the agreement for Lowndes County, and you hit submit, and this information goes right to the White House. So you can voice your opinion, and we need to flood them. In addition, you can go to the Department of Justice website as well. They also have a website feedback where you can kind of leave a comment there. They also have their phone number, which is a department comment line. It's 202-353-1555. That's 202-353-1555. And you can leave a comment, or you can call them directly at 202-514-2000. So that's, and of course you can send snail mail for those who still want to send a letter. But most importantly, you want to go and you want to get this in the ear of your senators. And you can go right to senate.gov and you can look up the senator that's in your particular state. And once you put your senator in, their information will come up in terms of their mailing address, their phone numbers, and you can contact them as well. Now, I know you may be thinking it's not in my state. Why would I contact my state representative? Well, that's why you vote for these individuals, because they're supposed to take your concerns to Congress and to the House to vote on resolutions to bring these matters up, to address these issues. So you put the pressure on your representative so they can put the pressure on everyone else, because this, again, is a matter of life and death, and it needs to be addressed. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. Like I said, I wanted to get straight to it. I'm passionate about it. I've already done those three things. I'll do it again. And of course I'm going to post this information so many more people can jump on this, because this is an injustice. And not to get too Martin Luther Kingish, but injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. So this has to be addressed by all of us in order to get change and get something done. But that's my time for today. If you want to leave a comment, you can reach us at the People's Voice Podcast on Instagram. You can also reach me at I am Trey Evans on all social media platforms. Leave a comment. We'd love to engage with you. But as always, dreams are not just for sleeping. Please wake up and live your dreams. My name is Trey Evans, the people's voice. Tell somebody about the dream. Salute.